These are the 5 craziest, most versatile, one-of-a-kind pieces of gym equipment we've ever seen. But they're not just wild, creative home gym solutions, they're the best of them. Each one is very good at what it does. After well over 150 reviews covering hundreds of pieces of equipment, I've whittled all that down into this. If you find any of these items interesting, I've linked them all in the description. Some we have affiliates with, some we don't, but we've got full-length reviews for each of them down there as well. Number 5 is Freak Athlete's Nordic Hyper GHD, and it's probably something you've seen all over the internet since their advertising budget seems to be only matched by the insane amount of things this machine does. So let's do a quick recap from this completely random and handsome man I found on their website. It's a Nordic bench, back extension, a glute ham developer, like that guy needs it, reverse hyper, hip thrust platform, sit-up bench, and then he says you can do all kinds of other stuff on it. But I'm not just quoting myself and reusing clips to save time. I mean, I am, but this thing's pretty versatile, even if it's not perfect. In our full review, I'm pretty critical of them calling this a reverse hyper and a few other things, but they've taken that feedback and have really worked hard to update this. So if you were to order it now, and I do happen to know a guy who will subtly mention his discount code, which just happens to be Gluck, but new orders will get the upgraded version, which is pretty cool because as picky as I am, I already thought this worked pretty well. So if you're looking for a compact, do-it-all style machine, this one's definitely worth some serious consideration because I'm not sure I've seen another piece that does as much as this does for under $800 shipped, and I think it's actually a little bit cheaper than when we first reviewed it. At number 4, we've got the Thresher Pad by Darko Lifting. This thing's pretty cool, and we'll get to what it does, but Darko's on this list not only for this piece, but he's come up with the kind of stuff that makes you think, well, why didn't I think of that? Darko's inventions are so clever and the execution so well polished that his creations seem like something that really should have existed for years. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you've probably noticed that we keep a few extra barbells from our reasonably sized collection on our Darko barbell anchor, and then maybe a few more on our Darko dock, but that's one of the reasons I love him. He's enabled me to follow my passion of collecting things I don't really need without getting into too much trouble with my wife, because I mean, how mad could she really be if she can't trip on them, right? You've probably also seen us use his shorty bar on the Aries so we can actually fit our feet on the low row plate, or on all kinds of machines and exercises to get creative with grips and attachments. But my favorite thing he makes is the Thresher Pad. At its simplest, it's really just a pad that attaches to your spotter arms or lever arms. Technically, it's 3x3, so you can really just attach it to anything you want and get pretty creative with it. I've used it as a seat when I'm doing lat pull downs. Obviously, it works for chest supported rows. I actually really like pads like this for spider curls. You can use it for rear delt flies, and the list goes on. But what I really like about this, besides the fact that it's made in America, is that it gives me more functionality without taking up more space. It's not that I don't love my patented chest flop setup, making out with equipment, or tripping over my other seal row pads that don't store away as neatly as this, but when I'm done with it, I can just clip it up to an upright or cross member and it's out of the way. Number 3 is where I admit that I spent way too long getting this list down to a cute number of items for YouTube, so you'd click on my video based on a bunch of my imaginary criteria. But I didn't really cut it down to 5 items. I'm actually going to stuff 2 of them into this one, because these are the craziest specialty bars I've seen, like a modular bar with rotating handles, or one that has the ability to be configured in so many different ways that I could bench with it, then swap things around for squat, and change it again for deadlift, and you'd be wondering how it's the same bar. Now, I don't have an affiliate with either of these bars. I don't make any money off mentioning them or you buying something from them, but that doesn't mean they're not unique and well done pieces of equipment. They should be supported by the community, and we're fortunate enough to have an amazing set of Patreons who help us to fund videos like this without worrying about any of that. Both of these were invented by small American businesses trying to fill a need by creating some very unique equipment. The Cub, by resistance and rotation, allows you to swap out components, and that includes the center section and sleeves, so you could make it longer for a movement like bench press, or much more compact if you wanted to put it on a cable machine. The idea behind this bar is that by being able to change the angle of your grip for something like skull crushers or bent over rows, and because you can also change widths, you're able to make a bar that fits your build, your wants and needs. You're also able to rotate your grip during movements and add resistance to it by attaching bands which will torch your forearms and curls or your delts during an Arnold press, and add another interesting element to a pretty cool bar. The Maverick bar by Phoenix Fitness takes the modular concept to a ridiculous level. It really should have been named the Transformer bar, but obviously that name was taken by Kabuki, but that's what this is. You can swap out the handles for different angles or change the placement of them depending on the exercise. There's a built-in jack to help with loading and unloading plates, and you really can get pretty creative with what you can do with it. I've done farmer carries, of course I tried a bunch of different curls on it, I did floor press, and really a lot of different pressing variations. Since our review, they've updated it to have tighter tolerances and a higher weight capacity, but it's really one of those things that takes a full dedicated video to wrap your head around, which is true of all these. And I'm not just saying that to plug my own videos, but I mean, if you want to watch them all after this one, it probably would be a good idea. At number 2, we've got Dialed Motion's cable systems. There's the Sidewinder, which is a compact system that only requires one upright to function, and the Ibex, which was originally called the Trolley when we first reviewed it, but they've since changed the name to make it sound more badass or something. I'm not really sure, but I am sure I had to Google what an Ibex is and how to pronounce it. The Ibex is a functional trainer that integrates into your power rack without really consuming too much space. But what I really like about both of these is that they can be configured a lot of different ways. On this side of my rack, I've got my Ibex kind of in your typical 4-post setup, but on this side, I've removed the upper arm from my Sidewinder and added it to my other Ibex to create a lat pull down. I've run these in a ton of different configurations, off of a single post, 4-post, 6-post, batwing. I spent a full week moving racks around and testing all the possibilities, and I even took them apart to see how they work, which is kind of a theme around here. I take apart everything because that's the only way to really know how stuff works and how durable something is. If you've watched our most recent gym tour or other videos, you've probably seen these on my Rep PR 5000, and that's a testament to how much I like them. We review a lot of great equipment, but I can't keep it all. I've got a kid who needs space to swing on our rings, and a baby who spends time out here each week learning to walk, and a YouTube channel that takes a distant third place to all of that. So if something stays in here, it's a big deal, and I cannot give these a better endorsement than that. They're very well polished, but just like any other piece of equipment, it's got to fit your space and needs, and there's going to be trade-offs to anything. But just one warning, when we first reviewed these, they sold out very quickly, but they are opening up more orders. Number 1 is possibly the most exciting and versatile attachment we've ever seen, and that's the Bulletproof Fitness Isolator. This rack attachment fits on 2x2, 2x3, 3x3, and honestly just an absurd amount of racks, and can be used to do a ton of different movements. You want leg extensions or leg curls? Go for it. You can curl, and I mean all kinds of curls without any issues. Heck, I even tried face pulls with this. Low rows went well. I hooked it up to my Aries because people from our Instagram and Patreon had asked us to give that a shot, and I've done a lot more with it. And while I can't say it does everything perfectly, and it does take some tinkering to figure out, the fact that I'm able to strap this to my rack and do dozens of exercises I couldn't otherwise without having a bunch of dedicated machines that take up a lot of space is crazy to me. Now, this could probably be said about a few others on this list, but I think what impresses me most about Bulletproof is the fact that they've listened to the community and added a lot of the stuff people have been asking for, like creating some storage solutions. There's a longer lever arm that allows the Isolator to be used like a reverse hyper, and that one, just like their adjustable leg roller, opens up a lot of possibilities for this. But it looks like soon you'll be able to get absolutely wild with the Isolator, with the ISO arms and outriggers that can be plugged into this. Now, I can't say the Isolator is for everyone, and I can't say I didn't have my own share of mishaps when testing this, but if you're creative or if you're looking for a company that isn't just following everyone else, Bulletproof is worth checking out, because with their VTS coming out soon, their PCD, and who knows what else they've got up their sleeve, this is a company I think could really shake up the home gym scene. If any of this equipment looked interesting to you, then you can find all of it linked down below, and our dedicated reviews of it are down there as well, or just right here. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and let us know if you have any other unique or interesting pieces of equipment you want us to review. Thanks to our Patreons, and thanks for watching.